Modern wars are often measured in terms of territory gained or lost, but the real impact runs much deeper. Beyond the battlefield, conflict quietly destroys economies for years, even decades. Infrastructure collapses, industries stall, and foreign investment disappears. Governments divert massive resources from health and education to military spending and reconstruction. Inflation rises, debt grows, and everyday citizens bear the cost through unemployment and poverty. The true economic damage of modern wars is not just immediate. It reshapes entire generations and can trap nations in long-term instability. Today we will talk about the true economic damage behind modern wars. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Introduction. War beyond the battlefield. Modern wars are often discussed in terms of military strategy, territorial gains, or political outcomes. But their deepest consequences are economic. The true cost of war extends far beyond bombs and bullets. It reshapes national economies, disrupts global markets, and creates long-term financial instability that can last for generations. Unlike earlier eras where war damage was mostly localized, today's interconnected global economy means that conflict in one region can trigger inflation, supply chain shocks, energy crises, and recessions worldwide. The economic damage is not only immediate but also structural, affecting productivity, human capital, and national development trajectories for decades. 2. Direct military spending and fiscal burden. One of the most immediate impacts of modern wars is the enormous cost of military operations. Governments often divert billions, sometimes trillions, of dollars into defense budgets, weapons procurement, logistics, and troop deployment. For example, long conflicts like the Iraq and Afghanistan wars collectively cost the United States over $2 trillion when including long-term veteran care and interest on borrowed funds. These expenditures are usually financed through debt rather than revenue, increasing national borrowing and creating long-term fiscal pressure. Countries engaged in prolonged conflicts often experience rising budget deficits, forcing cuts in essential public services such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. 3. Destruction of infrastructure and productive capacity. Wars systematically destroy the physical backbone of economies: roads, bridges, factories, power grids, and communication systems. The destruction of infrastructure reduces a nation's productive capacity, making recovery slow and expensive. For instance, modern conflicts in urban areas can erase decades of development within months. When factories are destroyed, production halts, supply chains collapse, and unemployment rises sharply. Power outages and damaged transportation systems further restrict economic activity. Rebuilding often requires foreign aid or international loans, leading to increased dependency and long-term debt accumulation. Even after physical reconstruction, productivity rarely returns quickly to pre-war levels due to disrupted networks and lost expertise. 4. Human capital loss and labor market collapse. Beyond physical destruction, wars inflict severe damage on human capital. Millions of people may be displaced, injured, or killed, resulting in a reduced and less skilled workforce. Refugee crises lead to mass migration, draining countries of educated professionals, engineers, doctors, and skilled laborers. Education systems are often disrupted for years, leaving children without proper schooling and reducing future productivity. Psychological trauma also reduces labor efficiency, as populations struggle with post-traumatic stress and instability. The loss of human capital is one of the most irreversible forms of economic damage because rebuilding skills, knowledge, and institutional expertise can take decades. 5. Inflation, currency instability, and financial crisis. Modern wars frequently trigger severe macroeconomic instability. Governments printing money to finance military spending can lead to inflation, while disrupted production and supply shortages push prices even higher. In extreme cases, currencies lose value rapidly, leading to hyperinflation and financial collapse. Foreign exchange reserves decline as trade weakens and imports become more expensive. Investor confidence drops, causing capital flight and stock market crashes. Banking systems also suffer as loan defaults rise and financial uncertainty spreads. Countries involved in prolonged wars often experience long-term weakening of their financial systems, making economic recovery even more difficult after the conflict ends. 6. Global trade disruption and energy shocks. Because modern economies are deeply interconnected, wars in key regions can disrupt global trade networks. Shipping routes may be blocked, ports destroyed, or trade sanctions imposed, all of which reduce international commerce. Energy markets are particularly sensitive. Conflicts in oil-producing regions often lead to spikes in global oil and gas prices. This increases transportation and manufacturing costs worldwide, contributing to inflation even in countries not directly involved in the conflict. Supply chain disruptions also affect critical goods such as food, electronics, and medical supplies, highlighting how modern wars create ripple effects across the global economy. 7. Long-term debt and development setbacks. After wars end, countries are often left with massive debt burdens accumulated during conflict. Servicing this debt requires long-term fiscal discipline, often forcing governments to prioritize repayments over development spending. As a result, investment in education, healthcare, and infrastructure remains limited for years. Development indicators such as GDP per capita, literacy rates, and life expectancy often stagnate or decline. In many cases, countries take decades to return to their pre-war economic growth trajectory. This development gap creates inequality between war-affected nations and stable economies, reinforcing global economic disparities. 8. Hidden opportunity costs and lost economic growth. One of the most overlooked aspects of modern warfare is the concept of opportunity cost, the economic growth that never happens because resources are diverted to conflict instead of development. Every dollar spent on weapons, military logistics, or reconstruction represents a dollar not invested in innovation, education, healthcare, or infrastructure expansion. Over time, this diversion significantly slows down national productivity and competitiveness in the global economy. Conclusion: the hidden multi-generational cost. The true economic damage of modern wars is not fully captured by immediate destruction or military expenditure. It lies in the long-term erosion of economic potential. Wars disrupt every layer of economic life: government finance, infrastructure, human capital, trade systems, and financial stability. Even after peace is restored, recovery is slow and uneven, often requiring decades of reconstruction and international assistance. Most importantly, the effects are multi-generational, influencing the opportunities available to children born long after the conflict ends. In this sense, the real cost of war is not just measured in dollars spent, but in decades of lost progress and human development. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.